In 2026, as India assumed the BRICS chairmanship for the fourth time, geopolitical narrative has shifted from mere economic cooperation to a profound assertion of a global South leadership. At the heart of the strategy is India's commitment to amplify the voice of developing nations, a mission that finds its most vibrant expression through intensified diplomatic outreach in Africa. Under the theme, Build for Resilience, Innovation, Cooperation, and Sustainability, India is positioned itself not just as a member of an elite club, but as a bridge between the developed West and the burgeoning economies of South. The philosophy of humanity first diplomacy. India's approach to BRIC 2026 is rooted in the principle of Vishwabandhu, a friends of the world. Unlike traditional power blocs that often focus on zero-sum security, India's presidency prioritized a people-centric agenda. For a global South, this means addressing the silent crises that rarely dominate headlines in the North: debt, distress, food insecurity, and digital divide. By campaigning these issues, India is filling a leadership vacuum, while major powers are often preoccupied with systemic rivalry. India is leveraging its 2026 presidency to ensure that the Sustainable Development Goals remain the primary metrics of a global success. Africa, the strategic frontier of a global South. The increased diplomatic outreach in Africa is not a peripheral activity in the cornerstone of India's 2026 mandate. It's engagement driven by three distinct pillars: institutional inclusion, digital public infrastructure, and health and food security. So, in the area of institutional inclusion, following the landmark inclusion of South Africa Union as a permanent member of G20 during the India's presidency in 2023, India is now using BRICS 2026 to deepen this institutional synergy by inviting a record number of African heads of state to a BRICS Plus observers. New Delhi is ensuring that African perspectives on a global governance reform, particularly the expansion of UN Security Council, are impossible to ignore. The second, digital public infrastructure as an equalizer. India is one of the most potent tools for African outreach in its mastery of a digital public infrastructure. In 2026, India is actively exporting the India Stack, UPay, Aadhaar, and Co-Win style health platform to African nations. These technologies are being shared not as proprietary products, but as own source public goods. This enables African countries to leapfrog traditional development hurdles, fostering financial inclusions and transparent governance without falling into debt trap. The third, health and food security. As the primary of the world, India has pivoted its BRICS 2026 health agenda towards localizing manufacturing in Africa. Through joint ventures, India is helping establish vaccine essential medicine production hub in nations like Egypt, Ethiopia, Nigeria. Simultaneously, the International Millet Initiative, the championed by India, is being tailored to African climate to provide a resilient solution to a global food crisis exacerbated by a supply chain of disruptions. Reforming global governance. The Global South has long argued that post-1945, the international order is antiquated. In 2026, India is leading the change of multilateralism 2.0. This involves financial architecture reforms, voice in trade, de-dollarization with a purpose. India is playing a bridging role, a delicate balancing act. India's leadership is characterized by its ability to navigate a fragmented world. While Russia and China often view BRICS as a counterweight to G7, India views it as a collaboration platform. In 2026, India being careful to ensure that BRICS agenda remain inclusive by opting out current military central exercises while doubling down on a green energy partnership. India signals that its version of Global South leadership is about development, not a confrontation. This strategic autonomy allows India to speak truth to power on behalf of Africa and the wider Global South. When India advocates for a just energy transition, it is articulating the reality that developing nations cannot be expected to abandon fossil fuel at the same pace as industrialized nations without significant financial and technological transfer. In conclusion, India's 2026 BRICS presidency represents a maturing of its global identity. It is no longer just a rising power, but a leading power that defines its success by the progress of its peers in the Global South. By placing Africa at the center of the diplomatic map, India is providing that the future of global stability lies in equitable growth rather than military dominance. As the 2026 summit approaches, the world is watching to see if India can successfully translate this humanity-first rhetoric into a new, more inclusive blueprint for a 21st century.